Oke, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Irfan Himaturafi. Now we learn about autonomous learning. And this is our material today. The first is what is autonomous learning? The second is characteristic. The third is a step into autonomous learning. The fourth is learning style, preference, and strategies. The fifth is cognitive strategies, and the sixth is metacognitive strategies. Now I want to explain you about the first material and the second material. Okay, what is autonomous learning? Autonomous learning embeds student participation, freedom of choice, accountability, critical thinking, and metacognitive in their own training and self-development. And students become more independent, creative, and accountable for their learning with this technique. Jadi autonomous learning ini mengajarkan bahwasannya student itu tuh menjadi siswa yang bebas dalam pilihannya, metodenya belajar, cara penyampaiannya, ataupun dengan media yang akan diperlukan oleh si siswa tersebut. Jadi membebaskan siswa untuk memilih caranya, ya, dengan otomatis yang sesuai dengan materi yang ingin dipelajarinya. In higher education, defines autonomous learning as independent thinking. It involves managing all aspects of learning, from goal setting and planning to method selection and assessment. Jadi di sini tuh benar-benar namanya dia tuh mandiri. Jadi tugasnya guru itu hanya fasilitator, hanya memberikan fasilitas-fasilitas yang dibutuhkan oleh siswa dan juga memberikan arahan tentunya seperti metode apa atau metode apa yang paling baik untuk mempelajari hal tersebut. Dan juga nanti tujuan akhirnya akan ditentukan oleh guru, tetapi dengan tahapan-tahapan yang disetting oleh siswanya tersebut. It is about a student taking charge of their learning and being self-directed. Autonomous learning requires teacher supervision and guidance to achieve and maintain independence. Jadi walaupun dia sendiri belajarnya siswa tersebut, tetapi masih memerlukan namanya seorang guru sebagai supervisor atau pendamping dalam proses pembelajaran. Karena guru itu penting dalam proses pembelajaran agar pembelajaran itu terarah, tidak keluar dari jalur semestinya. Itu. Next, about characteristic of autonomous learning. Itu ada tiga. There is three kinds. The first is the main characteristic. Ya, jadi karakteristik utama dari autonomous learning itu ada self-critical, self-direction, terus ada critical thinking, planning, evaluation, and reflection. Itu karakteristik yang ada di autonomous learning. Tapi ada karakteristik di luar dari itu atau tambahannya. Seperti student empowerment itu seperti setting learning target, choosing method, and assessing progress. And the third is learner autonomy, seperti desire, inisiatif, research, and perseverance. Itu ada tiga, jadi ada yang mainnya, ada utamanya, karakteristik utama, ada karakteristik tambahan seperti student empowerment and learner autonomy. Di situ harus ada namanya di dalam autonomous learning. Ya. Ada self direction, dia harus sendiri, critical thinkingnya dia harus jalan juga, dan harus memplanning, oh saya harus belajar apa dulu tahap-tahapannya. Evaluation and reflection. Evaluasi seperti apa ketika sudah memiliki planning tersebut dan menjalankannya, dan reflection perbaikannya. Dan dan yang kedua ini, untuk yang kedua itu tidak lepas dari namanya kemudian dia tidak lepas dari namanya guidance dari supervisornya, yang mana lagi adalah seorang guru. That is the first material and the second material. For the next material will be forwarded by my friend. Thank you.
And next, we're going to move for material about theory of autonomous learning. According to Hollick, 1981, Hollick described autonomous learning as the ability to take charge of one's own learning. And Little in 1991 described autonomous learning as a capacity for detachment, critical reflection, decision-making, and independent action. And then Benson, 2001, describes autonomous learning as the content of learning that should be freely determined by learners. Next, this is a Benson theory. In 1997, he distinguishes three broad ways of talking about learner autonomy in language education. First, technical perspective, emphasizing skills or strategies for unsupervised learning, specific kinds of activities or processes such as metacognitive, cognitive, social, and other strategies identified by Oxford. Second, a psychological perspective. It's emphasizing broader attitudes and cognitive abilities which enables the learner to take responsibilities for his or her own learning. And then finally, and then last, a political perspective. It is emphasizing empowerment of or emancipation of learners by giving them control over their learning. These are the strategies to nurture the autonomous learning. First, teacher becomes less instructor and more facilitator. Second, teacher decrease importance as main source of knowledge. Third, student capacity to learn to themselves encourage. Fourth, student encouraged to make decisions about what they learn. Fourth, student awareness to their own learning system encouraged. And last, student encouraged to develop their own learning strategies. So autonomous learning more likely conduct classes to become dependent learner and student-centered. Autonomous learning proposes the teacher as not the source of learner, but learners have to explore their source in their study. So how to encourage learner autonomous as a teacher? First, talking to students about autonomy and its value. Second, encouraging learner to engage in autonomous behavior. Third, getting learners to reflect on their learning. Fourth, using activities in class which promote autonomy. And fifth, setting activities out of class which promote autonomy adapted from. And in short words, we can say that the encourage learner autonomous from teacher can force the student to adapt in autonomous learning. So teacher has to maintain or bring a class setting that's suitable for student as autonomous learner, as well as how to make a student engage alongside the learning process happens. First, it's related to learning style preference. It is important to analyze the relationship between language learner autonomy and media to learn to find various modes which can foster learner autonomy and language teaching and learning. So to fostering learning autonomous, teachers should be pay attention to content of learning, lesson planning, assessment, and the product or learning outcomes. So what's the meaning of content learning? Alright, the content learning that can make students engage into learning process should be convenient for students and their preference. For example, in the next slide, we can find this, auditory, kinesthetic, and visual. If your student is auditory learner, you have to providing the module or the learning media like repeat information, study with partner, listening to music, talk with themselves, and tape yourself. And if they are visual learners, you should be provide a diagram, a flashcard, highlight, and draw. And if you have a student who is kinesthetic, you have to provide learning media to make their explore personalized info, and instead of you provide a long reading text, you can break reading text into small chunks or small pieces and use finger to keep track of where you are, and at last use your hand explaining concept of yourself.
Okay, now we move into the next material, and the next material is learning strategies. What is learning strategies? Learning strategies are mental steps or operations that learners use to learn a new language and to regulate their efforts to do so. Jadi learning strategies ini merupakan langkah atau sesuatu yang harus digunakan oleh seorang pelajar untuk mempelajari bahasa baru dan untuk mengatur upaya mereka untuk bisa berbahasa tersebut. And according to Tanasule's article, some of the main learning strategies are cognitive strategies and metacognitive strategies. Jadi menurut artikel yang saya baca dari Tanasules, learning strategies itu dibagi menjadi dua. Ada yang pertama itu cognitive strategies dan yang kedua itu ada metacognitive strategies. So the cognitive strategies, they operate on the incoming information. And metacognitive strategies, they are used for planning, monitoring, and evaluating the learning activity. So these metacognitive strategies focus on how we learn. Like there is a planning, monitoring, and evaluation the learning activity. Okay, next for the cognitive strategies. These are the cognitive strategies. The first is repetition. Yang pertama itu ada repetition. Jadi ini itu digunakan seperti contohnya kita belajar vocabulary. Jadi kita mengikuti apa yang kita dengar dari orang lain, dari pembicaraan orang lain gitu. And then the next is resourcing. Resourcing is a cognitive strategies by using dictionaries and other materials as a reference. Jadi kita menggunakan metode resourcing ini menggunakan dictionaries and other materials as a reference. So next, the translation, that is using their mother tongue as a basis for understanding and or producing the target language. Jadi kayak kita sudah mengerti bahasa ibu kita, gitu, mother tongue kita, lalu digunakan untuk memahami atau memproduksi bahasa yang ingin kita pelajari. Contohnya di sini seperti bahasa Inggris gitu. And then cognitive strategies is there is note taking, deduction, and contextualization when embedding a word or phrase in a meaningful sequence. Jadi kita menulis sesuatu di dalam konteks bahasa yang ingin kita pelajari gitu. Jadi kalau menurut kita itu penting, kita harus taking note and deduction and contextualization. And then the next cognitive strategies is transfer, that is using knowledge acquired in the L1 to remember and understand facts and sequences in the L2. Kurang lebih sama seperti yang translation tadi. Jadi kita menggunakan mother tongue kita atau bahasa pertama kita untuk mengingat atau mengerti bahasa yang ingin kita pelajari di sini. Contohnya bahasa Inggris. Gitu. And then the last cognitive strategies that effective for a learner, that is question for clarification. Jadi kayak apa? Kita banyak bertanya kepada guru ataupun orang yang kita percaya untuk belajar bahasa yang ingin kita pelajari tersebut. Seperti itu. Okay, next, related to the self-monitoring is self-evaluation, appraising one's performance in relation to one's own standards. Jadi, kalau self-monitoring itu tadi kita cuma memeriksa kinerja seseorang pada saat berbicara, and the self-evaluation ini itu kita menilai kinerja seseorang dalam kaitannya dengan standar atau kriteria yang sudah diberikan oleh si dosen atau si guru yang memberikan perintah tersebut. Kayak public speaking kemarin kan ada beberapa kriteria tuh yang harus dipenuhi oleh si pembicara gitu, kurang lebih kayak gitu pengertiannya. Dan yang terakhir itu masih ada kaitannya dengan self monitoring, self evaluation, itu ada self reinforcement, rewarding oneself for success. Jadi self reinforcement ini seperti self rewards lah, kita memberikan penghargaan kepada diri kita sendiri atau pada orang lain yang sedang perform di depan kita itu atas keberhasilannya dia dalam memenuhi kriteria atau standar yang sudah diberikan oleh si dosen ataupun si guru tersebut. Seperti itu. Mungkin itu saja yang bisa saya sampaikan dari learning strategies. Ada cognitive strategies and metacognitive strategies. Kurang dan lebihnya mohon maaf. Goodbye. Thank you.